Good afternoon. The Ranter is back to go into yet another rambling diatribe of the news of the day. And this is a little bit overdue. 2 weeks ago and change, I was anticipating doing a rant concerning the political stunt that Ron DeSantis decided to do. Taking human beings and turning them into political props and pawns while trafficking them, not even really from Florida, really, just from Texas to Florida to Martha's Vineyard, just to have a little ha-ha moment with those rich liberals up there, right? Yeah, I was going to really get into that, and because that hits me really a bit hard, because I've been, for years, I've bemoaned the treatment of our migrant individuals that come over, those who they say are illegal, those who are not even illegal but asylum seekers, and those who are just waiting frustratedly in line while they are demonized during, election season. So I was going to get into all that, and then I became a statistic as I had contracted COVID. So for the first week, I was isolating from work and from the rest of life. And the next week, I tested positive again. However, I passed the isolation period, so I went back to work under a mask. And then, as of last Saturday, I finally tested negative. For me, and the cases, this is case by case basis. So let's not take like the word of one person who had COVID and think it's a walk in the park or a breeze or anything. But for me, due to the fact that I had 2 vaccinations and a booster, it all hit me as hard as a fever, a headache that was occasionally coming and going, which I'm prone to headaches anyway, as I have one right now, and some chills, congestion, sinus issues, and so forth. But here's the thing about that, especially for those who are a bit anti-vax, and we'll jump on, oh, he had COVID, but he had vaccinated. First of all, a reminder that you being vaccinated does not make you immune from contracting what you're vaccinated from. The best it's going to do is that it's going to make it harder for you to catch it, and when you catch it, the symptoms will be milder, which is a blessing. Because let's explain this a bit. I had COVID. I caught it. I am in my 40s, I am a bit overweight, more than a bit sometimes, and I am on the cusp of being diabetic. So had I not been vaccinated, had I not had the booster, I would be having a semi-romantic relationship with a ventilator. So y'all who feel the need, I guess, for political purposes to mock the concept of vaccinations in this subject, you all can go to hell. So, that aside, that did, however, prevent me from getting on here and venting into the void that is YouTube upon my issues concerning DeSantis' stunt. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this, because you probably hear it from my voice. I am still having some residuals from my 2 weeks of fun. But, and because the news that I'm referring to is, has come and gone, more or less, I'm just going to vent my unqualified opinions on this. Concerning, first of all, what Ron DeSantis did. He's catching some lawsuits for that because he was human trafficking people just for a political fucking stunt. And in the manner that he was doing that, it also involved deception and lying to these people to get them onto the bus and onto the plane. Now, this might seem, for the, those of us who are maybe not obsessively political wonks or students of history, as a lot of us are, Um, if you think this was a new, outrageous and disgusting play out of the good old playbook, it's not new. It's rather old. In the 1960s, it was called Reverse Freedom Ride. This thing coming from Arkansas, where the white folk, the white council there had this bright idea that they want to try to embarrass northern liberals, so they would send black folk onto buses to northern communities. So you kind of find the fingerprints of this wonderful little plan here. And again, it also once again involved about lying to men and women, telling them they're going to have a better life, better opportunity, better housing, and that if they go that way. So that's what all that was. That was just a matter of getting rid of the undesirables and setting them up for a political message. In terms of those who landed on Martha's Vineyard, you go on Twitter and you see all these conservative gerbils. I mean, I won't even call them conservatives because they're so Trump sycophants. I'll just go with that because I don't really want to insult actual political Republican conservatives, because we may have our issues and disagreements, but at the end of the day, a lot of them are regular folk like everybody else. They just have political leanings one way or the other. But let's say these Trump gerbils that go on Twitter and it's like, look at them, the liberals, they don't want them on the lawn. Oh, they sent them away so fast. Y'all didn't give a shit, neither did Ron DeSantis, on the conditions of these people that were sent away. You didn't give a shit if they ate. You just wanted to drop them off and abandon them and then just laugh at their plight as the locals who were unsuspecting wasn't warned that they were coming. Activist groups came out and made sure these people ate, and within a day or two they were sent away, but sent to places where they were able to actually get housing and help and hopefully be able to start building a life here. Because again, these are not illegal immigrants that y'all decided to send away for a ha-ha. Migrants from Venezuela, asylum seekers. So there's that. It does piss me off to the core of me upon how these people are treated. And for the behavior of those who was like, oh, these rich liberals, they don't want them around. They sent them away so fast. I mean, it just was like Biden and those midnight plane rides, which was also debunked. But we'll get into that in another time, since I'm not really ready for a full-on thing here. I don't even know how long I'm going to be on, but and I need to balance the scale here, because I don't want anyone to assume that I'm dumping on Ron DeSantis in terms of a political thing, and by virtue of that claiming Democrats are any better at immigration or at the border, because they're not. No one is. No Republican nor Democrat are good on the concept of immigration, especially from the southern border. Democrats can talk the game. Republicans talk the game on the other side in more horrific manner, especially those who are aligning themselves with Trump, where the only thing about immigration or the border that needs to be done is to build a wall and keep people out. I mean, people who will praise border patrolmen who sees, gallons of water waiting for migrants to use on their trek, and they punch holes through them. No. For me, it's about balancing the books, balancing the scale here, because people do shitty things. But when you want to accuse someone righteously of the shitty things they're doing, you want to make sure that they actually are doing them. Now, one of the things I keep hearing about is Biden's open border. It's open border. They're just coming in because of Biden's policies of an open border. Really? Really? Because from my vantage, Biden is only perpetuating the same things Trump was doing in a lot of cases. Hell, there's sometimes he's doing a little bit more better than Trump from that point of view, because with negotiations with Mexico, he's actually having them help pay for border security. So, yeah, that's one of those things. But open border, the one of the few examples that they give, this is just an open border, was that ICE and Border Patrol agents stopped trucks at the border that was carrying hi man, that was trucks that were carrying a payload of barking dogs. No, okay, that was carrying drugs, and this was see. They came to the border because of Biden, because of the open border. If it was an open border, they wouldn't have gotten caught. There would be no catching. The border would be open. They would just pass through. But that's your proof, right? They also said that they caught at the border 10 or so people on the terrorist watch list because of Biden's open border policy. Again, if it was an open border, there would be no catching. They would just go through. So, that's just part of this melodrama upon, especially in election season, making sure that, the worst possible perception can be made one end and the best possible perception on the same issue can be made on my end, and just go from there. So, yeah. No. See, again, with that doesn't necessarily say that the Democrats and or Biden and or Obama is any better on the border, because they weren't. Both sides share this wonderful tradition of not knowing what the fuck they're doing with the border, with immigration. Years ago, during one of these presidential debates, the Democratic presidential debate, I mentioned during a live stream on Middle America that one of the things that need to be doing is hiring more immigration lawyers and immigration judges so that they can facilitate and fast track a little bit better the backlog of those who are waiting in line to immigrate, whether they are able to come in or not legally. And I was amazed that every one of the Democratic candidates did not mention that, not even Bernie Sanders. So that tells you that that's one aspect of how we can improve things that no one decides to mention. It's like they don't want to make it easier. They just don't want it to be a public thing. And that's a separation between Trump and Obama in terms of the border, because Obama, the border-in-chief, Obama built the cages, built the enclosures because of unaccompanied children that came over, and they housed them as such. You gotta be upfront, and you gotta be clear about that. What the difference is between Trump and Obama on this, because Obama kept that quiet. He wasn't bragging about that. He wasn't making that into a political point. Trump was. Trump was bragging in the treatment of these people. Trump had no qualms about, separating families, separating mothers and fathers from children, or at least guardians, because we have to also, question if these people are really their parents or not. The Trump administration, apparently, when they're doing all this, didn't really have a guideline. Their plan is an underpants gnome plan. It's just like, separate the children to detain everyone. Step 2, nothing. There's no procedure here. Step 3, profit. And there was profit. But they didn't have a plan on what to do with these people afterwards. They hid women and they hid children from the eyes of the media. They were sent to black sites so that media, politicians, even clergy, or standard medical professionals could interview them and check them out. It was pulling teeth to find out where any of these people were sent to. So which became a big campaign of trying to reunite families at the very least. If you're not going to keep them here, let's at least, put them back together. And you hear these horrific cases of like these single-digit kids who don't speak English being sent to immigration court to testify and to be sent away. And it is interesting the connections in this, where wow, we're doing all this, separating the families and so forth. Human trafficking, I might add. The children, gets abandoned because they were forcibly removed from the adults that they were with, gets thrown into orphanages and adoptions. And one of those companies that was doing the adopting of these children and adopting them away was run by Betsy DeVos, who was part of the Trump administration for the Department of Education. See the dots there? But again, as I virtue shame for the Trump administration on their immigration, I still have to remind you that the Democrats are no better. They're just, their flavor of god-awful bullshit is shh, quiet. Shh, shh, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it and keep it status quo. And why it pisses me off about Biden on this, and this is why he will not be voted for the next time around, even if Trump runs, hopefully. I mean, you have to keep a resolve on that because Trump is unqualified and a disqualified piece of shit who instigated people to try to incite an insurrection to stop his certification vote. Why it bothers me so much about Biden is that Biden ran on this as a campaign point against Trump. So that's breaking a campaign promise for him to do better than Trump on the border and on immigration. I mean, outside of maybe cursory things he attempts to do, it's still the same thing over and over again here. Paladin? Hi, man. Because you're just going to have to deal with barking dogs, I guess. I don't really edit much. In any event, I'm not going to do much more on this. I have so many things other to talk about, so it's going to be like video after video after video, apparently. But just because one side gets dumped on doesn't mean that the other side is clean on this. There are no real immigration advocates outside of people who can make talking points in front of a camera during election season. But like the same thing with like making sure the votes are secure for all Americans. That's a great talking point during an election, but when they win the election and they have power, they don't decide to end the problem, in those middle years, do they? We'll get to it. We'll get to it eventually. Democrats do that, Republicans do that. And there's also, and in terms of this topic, Ron DeSantis has a little bit of fallout coming from this concerning the lawsuits of, moving human beings from false pretenses just for a political stunt. And we know it's political. We know it's some false pretenses because they did actively outright lie to these people to get them on the bus, to get them on the plane. They give them brochures of when they're sending them, they'll have career opportunities. They'll have housing opportunities. People will help them in and, work their way into the community. It'll be fun. It'll be great. It will be a lie. And in terms of those on Martha's Vineyard, especially those who decide to get on camera, especially on Fox News, just to rag on Biden and immigration and open borders and this and that, when it comes to people like that, the limousine riding liberals, don't make the error that is the indicative behavior of all liberals. I think it's one of the things that gets lost in the noise on this, especially in politics. People go one way or the other, and when they demonize one side or the other, they kind of think in monolithic terms that all thus is thus. To me, these individuals are rich fucks who wanted people off their lawn, who were nowhere near the place, got told that people were just showing up, and it's like, well, get them off my lawn. I don't care. They're caught off guard. They don't have an immediate answer. They don't want to be involved in this. This is embarrassing. Get the fuck off my lawn. And as rich fucks, that's what they do. And rich fuckery is a universal phenomena. That's not a liberal or a conservative thing. You are rich and a fuck. You will act like a rich fuck. It doesn't matter how many charities you donate to and how many galas you go to in the name of one cause or another. People are dumped in front of your house, milling around because they have nowhere to go and they were abandoned by other pieces of shit. The human nature that goes underneath, a little stronger than the empathy, goes, get off my lawn. The point I'm trying to make here is that there is no moral high ground. There isn't. These people are pieces of shit for sending these folk on false pretenses, sending them away like the reverse freedom ride just for a political haha. They don't care. No one does. That these are human beings. These are men, women, and children. I mean, do we have to retroactively remind you what these people, especially these women, had to go through? Forced hysterectomies? Just because they're here? And they don't even know why they're having operations done on them? For just being here? Forced sterilization? Just for being here. Uninvited. Bring me your poor, your tired, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Should be the Lethal Weapons 3 joke. Now it should say no vacancy. I guess that is our legacy for this. And people were pouting Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott on the back for doing this inhumanity. If they get any political success out of this and go into increase their power or prestige over this, that says less about them. And it says more about those who will vote them in, who will praise them, who will give them donation money, and will help lift them up to positions of power. That says something about all of us. Alright, this is the first one of other ones, and outside of the involvement of Gus and his barking, not bad. The ranter rants because the urge to rant is always rising, and I have 2 weeks worth of bullshit to rant about. Trump and the special master and the Trump judge who's still saving his ass even from the special master that they just put together. Don't politicize Hurricane Ian. Don't do that. Don't politicize it. They're politicizing Hurricane Ian. And then it becomes, oh, well, those people who are looting shouldn't be in the first place because they're all migrants. Man, that's Ron DeSantis, who went and bemoaned about not politicizing Hurricane Ian. And various other topics. So, I will speak to you again next time, dear void of a half dozen people that watch this.